First, I'd like to thank you for coming tonight. I'd like to give you a little background on where I'm coming from and where I've been. As a child, I was hypersensitive to everything and overloaded by emotions, feelings, and I didn't understand those things. And I definitely couldn't control them. So what happened was I moved into the understanding of math and science, engineering. I wanted something tangible that I could trust. I went from high school to college, took chemical engineering for pre-med, dropped out after 2 years, and wound up with a business degree, and then went back and got a master's in international management. My background is running companies and corporations doing corporate turnaround. I've owned my own book publishing, book distribution company. I've owned my own oil company, oil drilling, exploration, investment. And pretty much, you name it, I've been there and I've done it. Now, up until the age of 35, my background was running companies and corporations doing turnaround, specializing in that area. And then I had an experience in front of the Wailing Wall in Jerusalem on the eve of my 35th birthday. I'd actually had an experience as a child where I was playing with my toy soldiers, which I used to do for days. And I was, 7, 9 years old, and I heard this voice. And it freaked me out. And the voice said, "You're to go to Israel. There's going to be wars, 3 wars there, and you're to be a general." And I went, what? How can a child leave his family, go to a foreign country where they don't even speak English predominantly? And that memory stayed with me. And I ran from it. And then when I graduated college, my friend and I, we looked at where to go play. And he wanted to go to Denmark, and I wanted to go to Israel. So we wound up going to Denmark. And that was 1968. I finally went over to Israel in 1979, not realizing how special the time was. I went on my just before my 35th birthday. Actually, the time period, the 3 weeks, was my birthday was in that time period. Now, we didn't know what our schedule was. I went alone on a tour and wound up walking the streets of Haifa the day before Sadat got there, and wound up coming in front of the Wailing Wall on the eve of my 35th birthday. Now, if you have a background and knowledge of spirituality, in a lot of the spiritual traditions, you're not allowed to study spirituality until you're 35 or 40, depending on which tradition you're following. The reason for that is they wanted you to live your life, work, have a family, and then, once your family was grown, then for you to move out and grab your beggar's bowl or whatever else you want to do and follow your spiritual path. Well, I didn't have any knowledge of that when I went on this path. 1979, 1980, I was president of a corporation, manufacturing corporation, had 100 people working for me, was vice president of a 2,000-member singles group, had a 4-bedroom house I lived in by myself, had stocks, I had a rent house. I was basically retired at age 35. And after my experience in Israel, I went ahead and I walked away from everything. And I started a journey that has taken me to 50 different countries and every state in the United States, including the state of confusion. I've spent time with, and when I say spent time, I don't mean 5 minutes. I've spent weeks with Native American medicine people, Peruvian shamans, Eskimo healers, the psychic surgeons from the Philippines. You name it, I've been there and got the t-shirt. Now, what I'm going to share with you tonight is focused on the ultimate entrepreneur. What does it take to be the ultimate entrepreneur? What does it take to be successful in business and in your life? In reality, the ultimate entrepreneur is really a model for the ultimate successful person. And everything I'm saying tonight transfers over to other areas of your life. What I'm going to do tonight is I'm going to go through a presentation. I'm going to ask for your participation. And then I'm going to ask for volunteers. And I'm actually going to work with at least 3 to 5 people in the group to help you to understand why you have not been as successful as you can be. And help you to move that energy. Now, I recently spoke at the New Spirit Festival, and there were over 200 people in the room at that talk. And I tried an experiment. I said, I believe healing can happen by me saying just 1 or 2 sentences to the person. And I actually worked with 5 people in less than 20 minutes. So it was less than 4 minutes per person. One person was diagnosed with cancer, and there were some other things that happened. So I'm going to be doing that tonight also. So let me start. And what I'm going to do is ask for your participation. What does it take to be the ultimate entrepreneur? Come on, let's interact here. Go on.
A dream.
Dream. Okay, can I expand that out and just say vision? Dream, vision. Okay. Zona, do you want to do it?
Yes.
Okay.
Risk.
Pardon? Okay, hold on a second. I'll let you do it. Risk. What does that mean?
Well, as you say, you
Willingness to risk
Yeah.
or risk? Just risk alone doesn't tell me a lot.
you left everything and went on a new path.
Okay, so willingness to
Give up
risk.
things.
Okay, willingness to risk. Great. Okay, what else?
Goals.
Pardon?
Goals.
Goals. Okay.
People skills, task skills.
People skills, task skills.
Creativity.
Creativity.
Self-belief.
Hold on a second. Creativity and self-belief.
The ability to step out.
Slow down. I want to make sure she got it. Self-belief. Go on. What'd you say?
Stepping out. To actually go do it.
Take action.
Yeah.
Okay, take action.
Time.
Pardon?
Time.
Time?
Yeah.
Give me more.
You need time to be able to develop this, and sometimes you have conflicts going all around you.
Okay, prioritize your time.
Yeah.
Okay, prioritize your time and make a commitment with your time.
Prioritizing time.
And making a commitment.
Connected to yourself.
Hold on a second. Okay, go ahead.
Connected to your soul.
Connected to your soul. Connect to your soul. Go on.
Tenacity and resolve to do whatever it takes.
Tenacity and resolve. Thank you. This goes, okay. Tenacity and resolve.
Communication with others.
Communication skills.
Trust.
And I'm going to add faith. Okay, trust and faith. Okay,
And allow, like get out of the way and allow.
okay. Allow and surrender.
Courage.
Pardon?
Courage.
I'd add courage next to faith. Good.
Decisiveness and timing, good timing.
Okay, decisiveness and timing. Money. Money. Money? I have never started a business with money. But we'll talk about that later. I've started with credit cards, but I've never started with money, and I definitely haven't started with bankers. Money, please. Okay, go on.
Passion.
What was it? Passion? Okay, passion. See, some of these are linked. Dream, vision, passion. They're all overlapping. Okay, go on. Perseverance. This is not a spelling test.
I know.
I can hear her thinking. I can hear the jitters. I can feel the fluttering back there, okay? That's part of the challenge of being very sensitive, is you can feel all this. Yes, sir.
In an enlightened way rather than a capitalistic Western way, we say humility, service, and integrity. But in a capitalist dog-eat-dog, it doesn't cut it.
How about win-win versus win-lose? Is that okay? Or is that not quite it?
Just service, humility.
Okay, service and humility. See, I get caught with that humility stuff because some people say, Michael, you're not humble enough. And upstairs keep saying, Michael, push more. And I'm sitting there going, how can I push and be humble? How can I surrender and take action? You know, it's almost like polar opposites, and it's about dancing, and it's about timing. I'm jumping ahead of the game, but I'm used to doing that anyway. Can I tell you a little story? Okay? Back in 1983, I had walked away from the corporate world, and I really started doing my best to be humble and listen and get it right, okay? And my life wasn't working at all. And a friend of mine told me this story, and I'll never forget it. He said, Michael, you're like the ineffective mechanic. You know, the guy comes in with a bad starter motor, you push it onto the rack, you jack it up, you try to get the nuts off of the starter motor, it won't go. You say, excuse me, Mr. Nut, I'm sorry for disturbing you. You push the car down, push it aside, and it rusts out, never works. And the effective mechanic pushes it onto the lift, jacks it up, the nuts won't move, you get some WD-40, spray it on it, and get an extender bar. Does everybody know what an extender bar is? It's like a pipe. You put it over the end of the wrench, and then you give it whop, okay, and then whop, and it comes off, but you don't use any excessive force, just what you need. You put on the new starter motor, let the car down, and the car runs forever, okay? So there's a balance between appropriateness. Now, I would never hurt anyone on purpose. However, I make people cry a lot when I work with them. Let me rephrase that, okay? But the tears are the release. And when you go in for an operation, a surgeon cuts you. Is he hurting you, or she? Or are they doing their best to help you? So there's this delicate balance of understanding and working with people. So I just wanted to take that aside. I'll probably be doing that a lot tonight. Okay? Thank you for letting me do that. And can you feel what's going on in your body right now? Your whole energy is shifting. It's okay. And you're a very sensitive person, I can see that.
I'm familiar with this work that you do.
Okay. And you're a very sensitive person. Thank you for being sensitive. Go on.
I want to say fun.
Fun! Ah! People go into entrepreneurship for fun? Okay. Although you can put it up here. Okay, fun. That's good. What else? Anybody else? Going once. Yes.
Be able to block out any negative criticism from
Okay.
people close to you.
Ignore doubters or ignore doubting Thomases. That's a good one. And the other one is stay focused. See, here's something that you did, or that a lot of people do, and they say things in the negative, where if you flip it into the positive, there's more energy, and we'll talk about that more later. Okay? So stay focused and stay positive. Those are two of the biggies. Anybody else have anything?
Modeling.
Modeling.
Somebody to follow that's done it before you.
Okay, models other successful people. Okay, anybody else?
Timing.
Get a thrill from the challenge.
A thrill from the challenge, okay. Thrill from challenge. It's a good one. There's a lot of people that play the stock market, go to horse races, and do stuff like that. Okay, go ahead.
Do what you love.
Do what you love, okay? Anybody else? We're winding down.
Timing,
finding something that has the right time, the right moment for that.
Okay? Right time for product, service. And I also put under usefulness. Although a lot of people get into business that's not useful. But everyone wants it. I mean, there's a lot of people that make cookies or cupcakes and all these other kind of things. And it's like, is that useful or is it fun? Or both.
Or meeting
Okay.
someone's need.
Pardon?
Or meeting someone else's need.
Or meeting someone else's need. Okay?
Can I offer one more?
Yep.
Intuition.
Okay. Well done. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, well done. Okay, so there's a whole wide range of information here. Okay, now I'm going to go to the next one. I want to talk to you about some of the situations that I've come in contact with. There's a guy named Masaru Ibuka, who's the founder of Sony. Anyone hear of that small company called Sony Corporation? He talks about how he makes his major decisions. He goes in, looks at all the information, and then goes into a quiet space and has a cup of tea. And then he pays attention to his stomach. If the tea is settling and it's okay, he'll do the deal. If the tea upsets his stomach at all, he doesn't do the deal. No matter what, he doesn't do the deal. This is the head of Sony Corporation. He doesn't care what the numbers are. Interesting. There's another man by the name of Armand Hammer. That's a real name, by the way. The guy was extremely rich. Armand, A-R-M-A-N-D. Now, Armand, I talked to a gentleman by the name of John Nelson, who I actually hired to work for me in Santa Fe, New Mexico, in a publishing business. And John had worked for Armand Hammer. And they would present all these deals to him. And he'd just sit down and go, no. Yes. No. 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 Yes. And that is the way he functioned. He didn't even open up the information packages. Or he may have had someone that did the preliminary screening and then just gave it to him if it looked reasonable. But he made his decisions based upon the feelings he had. Okay? So here is one person using tea, and the other one using feelings. Okay? There's another gentleman who I talked to, and he was one of the teachers at SMU, which is Southern Methodist University in Dallas, Texas, the Graduate School of Business. And they would have speakers come into the room, or into the organization, and speak to groups. And one of the speakers said, "Thank God I didn't go to your school. Because if I had gone to your school, you would have told me that it's impossible to do what I just did." This guy was an extremely wealthy man. And by all the models, it was totally impossible for him to achieve what he achieved. It couldn't be done. And what he told the school is, "Thank God I didn't go to your graduate school. Thank God I didn't listen to anyone and run it through any computer simulation. I didn't go to any accountant, because what I did was impossible based upon all the rules of the game." But what happened is this person ran into obstacle and created a way around it. And then another obstacle and created another way around it. He didn't know it couldn't be done, so he did it. The story of curved glass. Do you know how curved glass was made? There's a little company in the United States called Pittsburgh Plate Glass. And they wanted to create curved glass for cars. And all the textbooks said it couldn't be done. So what did they do? They got a bunch of scientists together that knew nothing about glass. They put them in a building. Now this is before computers and before mobile phones and everything else, before a lot of the internet stuff. So what happened was they edited and checked all the information before it was given to this group. And I don't know whether it's 3 months or 6 months that it took, but they developed curved glass because they didn't know it couldn't be done. It's about thinking outside the box. It's about thinking differently. If you don't know it can't be done, you can do it. Edison with the light bulb. I actually was born and raised in that area. Edison would go into meditation and hold his keys in his hand, and if he went too deep, he'd drop the keys, and that would wake him up. And then he'd hold the keys, and he went into this place called the alpha state, just between the conscious and the subconscious. And that's where he would get his insights. And he was a very famous inventor. One of the surveys reveals that 45% of corporate executives rely more on instinct than on the facts and figures in running their businesses. That's by Christian and Timbers back in 2002. It's probably a lot higher now. And Carly Fiorino, the CEO of HP back then, said, engage your heart, your gut, and your mind in every business decision you make. See, a lot of these people used one of their senses to get the information, and they didn't know that it couldn't be done. Every one of you in this room can create whatever you want, providing it's in your highest and best interest and it's in alignment with your soul. We're going to get more into that later. I want to talk about the mind because the mind controls just about everything. You have three aspects to the mind: the conscious, the subconscious, and the superconscious. The conscious mind, and let's talk about an iceberg. By the way, I drew the green line first. This is an iceberg. You can tell I went to art school. Okay? This black thing represents an iceberg. I originally put the green line in there to represent where it would sit in the water, but what I realized is it was too far down. Actually, this is what you could see in an iceberg, and this is underneath. So the conscious mind represents 10%. That's what we're aware of. 90% is in the subconscious. And we're not aware of all the programs in the subconscious. The only way we can tell what's going on in our subconscious mind is by looking at the mirror effect. What are we creating in front of us? We cannot see it directly, but we can see it indirectly. Look at the results we're creating. Are we creating prosperity? What are we doing in relationships? Are we attracting a lot of customers or not? What is happening in your life? So you have to look at the results you're generating. You have to look at the repeating patterns that are going on, the ripple effect, and look at people's reactions to you. If people constantly react to you in a certain way, then take a look. What is happening? What has to be going on within me for that to be happening? Why am I attracting that? The superconscious is the connection to intuition, infinite possibilities, and universal consciousness. There is a great big computer in the sky and a great big internet in the sky. And it works 24/7, 365. It's always going on if you learn how to tap into that. Now, let's shift a little bit. The manifestation process works this way. You have thoughts, then you take actions, and you get results. Your energy plus your clarity plus your spiritual level is equal to your success. The higher your energy, or the more clear and pure it is, the more focused, the easier it will be. The clearer you are, and your spiritual level. The higher spiritual level you're on, the easier you can create. There are people on this planet, they used to be able to just put their hand up and create gold, diamonds, rubies, rings, whatever they wanted. They just created it. Their mind was so clear that they could create anything they wanted. There's also people that I've been told about that can levitate without a lot of effort. I've walked across hot coals. In the beginning, I thought that was impossible. But after doing it 4 or 5 times, it's like, oh, okay. Or bending 3/8-inch rebar steel with my throat. Now, once you start seeing that these things are possible, everything shifts. I actually walked on the field where the 4-minute mile was broken. Bannister, I can't remember, what is his first name? Pardon? Roger Bannister, thank you very much. When he broke the 4-minute mile, all of a sudden everyone started breaking the 4-minute mile. It was a psychological thing. When someone broke the sound barrier, after that everybody broke it. So some of these things look like they're physical barriers, but they're not. So your energy plus your clarity plus your spiritual level is equal to your success. Now here's a fact. You cannot outperform the programs that are running in your conscious and unconscious mind, and you cannot outperform your self-image and self-esteem because you'll sabotage yourself. Saboteurs, like computer viruses, are limiting belief, negative attitudes, shocks, traumas, losses, energy blockages in the body. And I'm going to go into this and demonstrate it. See, this is all about frequency and vibration. It's all about focus. Again, my fantastic artwork. The left brain deals with logic. The right brain deals with intuition. So you've got intellect and logic. But intellect and logic use one thing as a reference point, and that is your history. It is not current. It is not future. It is not what's going on now. It is what the history has been. Your intuition uses current information, includes feelings and sensations, and you can sense and see the probabilities of now and future outcomes. And I'll share with you some of the experiences that I've had working with clients later on. Most people are either right brain or left brain. Very few are both. Most people are either or. When you do and you embrace both of them, then you've got a lot more potential of being successful. Because you check it out with both energies. All science and technology, all the science and technology in the world cannot equal the power, insights, and the accuracy of intuition and higher levels of consciousness. What?
Do you happen to know what it is that creates that polarity? I mean, at some point we must head down a path, left brain, right brain.
Mm-hmm. That's my next sheet. You're one sheet ahead of me. Well done. Thank you. And your name is?
Matthew.
Matthew? And this one's for you. Okay? How do we learn? We learn in school, left brain logic. We do it to fit in. Our school system develops our left brain logic, deadens our senses. We have to sit there for hours. We got homework. Boring. Okay? So science says that we have to prove everything. And if you cannot prove it, it doesn't exist. Hello? What happens with a Native American child when they know he's going to be a medicine person? They hide him from the authorities. They hide him from the authorities. They don't let the schools take him. They take the child out in nature and they let the child develop their senses, their feeling. There are tribes where they put a child that they know is going to be a medicine person in a dark teepee or a dark enclosure where there is no light till they're 14 or 16 years old. Why? They develop their senses. They start seeing things, hearing things, feeling things. They expand their awareness to the degree that the other reality is more real than the physical reality. See, our indoctrination, our programming is like a computer virus, and it's put in by our parents, our educational system, culture, religion. We can talk about past lives or future lives. We are not taught how to be successful. We are programmed from birth to be a worker bee, to conform, and to fit in. We become a member of the tribe. And usually it is not the chief. We serve our time and we don't challenge authority. I want to tell you a story. This is a true one. There's a tribe, I believe it's in Africa, where the children are with their mother and they're allowed to be with their mother. No one interferes. And all of a sudden, when they're about 7, 9 years old, in the middle of the night, the men take the child, kidnap them, and they never see their mother again. And they take them miles and miles and miles and miles away. Then, when they're about 16, it happens again. Do you think that child ever steps out of line? That child is in so much shock and trauma that their spirit's broken. But this is the whole thing about indoctrination. This is the whole thing about programming. Our society trains us to work from 9 to 5 and say, thank you very much. In school, we work for grades. On a job, we work for a salary. By the way, I'm going to expand this more. In the United States, if you don't go bankrupt 2, 3, 4 times, they won't take you seriously as a businessman. In England or other countries, if you go bankrupt once, you never stick your head up again. You take a 9 to 5 job and you stay at it, baby. And that's it. So there's a whole different attitude towards entrepreneurship in different countries and different cultures. Very few of our beliefs and our values are consciously chosen by us. Most of us wind up staying pretty much in the same religion we were born into, deal the same culture, eat the same foods that we were introduced to as a child. Very few of us are willing to say, I am not American, I'm not New Zealand, I'm not from Germany, I'm not from this country, I'm a world citizen. I do not think local. I think global. When I'm working with people, when I'm looking at situations, I'm looking at it globally. Actually, that's not true. I actually think about it intergalactically. Because I'm even looking beyond the earth on what's going on. And when I do projects, I ask for help and participation from more than just the earth beings. Because there's a lot of other energies that would like to and are committed to helping us. See, it's about us becoming bigger, us becoming more than our programming. The goal is to unprogram ourselves. Our goal is to come from the void, from the clarity of not knowing. Whenever I'm working with someone, I go into a place of emptiness. I go into the void. I go into blankness. Because I don't want anything in here or any of my senses picking up anything other than the information that I'm supposed to get to help the person. Told you you were right on. Okay, let's take a look at our senses. Sight. Now, there's two kinds of sight. There's two kinds of sight. One is what we see out here. But what do you see in your mind? What do you see in your dreams? What are the visions you have? Okay? So there's an outward and inward sight, and there's a visible spectrum. Right now, you see things in this room. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, yellow, indigo, violet, whatever. Okay? But you're not seeing the infrared or the ultraviolet. And it keeps going infinitum. It never stops. We're just seeing a very, very, very small fraction of the visible spectrum. If you take a prism and you run white light through it, you'll see the full range of colors. That's always there. We just don't see it. Hearing and sound. Again, outward versus inward. I loved it. I was in Bangkok. I almost ripped his shirt off this guy. He's running around with a shirt that says, "You're just jealous because you don't hear voices too." I almost grabbed the shirt off the guy. Okay? But we hear things in the room. We hear things. When I'm working with someone, I can hear a car beeping the horn. I can hear a bird singing. I could hear different things. And that grabs my attention. But there's also the inner voices we hear. So it's external and internal, and they're different. You've got the normal range, and then you have like dog whistles, which are very high pitched, or these things that emit a sound that scares away bugs and fleas and insects. Okay? Now, I'll tell you another story that's really, really good one. I was working in Athens, Greece. We were on the 3rd floor of this building. It was sealed. There was no noise. And I was working with a group in a workshop. And I had one group of Germans in one side, a group of Greeks in the other, and a group of people that understood English in another. So I had 3 different groups. And this woman asked for some help. And I said, okay. And we went in the center of the room, and I said, what can I do to help you? And she told me. I said, okay. And I got quiet, and all I could see was someone, just the hands, playing a flute. And I looked, and I went, okay, guys, thank you very much for the information. Can you be more clear? Can you give me something more so I can talk to this woman? Close my eyes, get quiet again, and there goes a flute again. And I said, I'm going to look like a fool here. Can you get specific and tell me what it is I'm supposed to tell her? Same thing happened again. Go close my eyes, and there's a flute being played. Again, I'm just seeing the flute and the hands. That's all. I said, okay. I said, look, I'm not going to make up any stories. I don't believe in making up any stories. I need to tell you what I'm getting. This is it. I'm seeing someone playing a flute. Well, the amazing part was that after I said that to her, over half the people in the room heard a flute playing. I'm not talking about 1 or 2 notes. What was that about? I don't have a clue, except the woman changed. I do not need to know the hows and the whys and the wheres. It has nothing to do with me. I was giving a gift to the woman. I was the messenger. I did not need to know what the message was or any of the other details. It was none of my business. Okay? And that's part of what I've had to learn, is that a lot of stuff that I'm doing or helping with is none of my business. So I don't remember it, and I don't know the details. Isn't that interesting? Okay. We've got smell. Again, inner and outer. The bloodhound can smell far more than we can. There's one woman, she said, I always know when my grandfather's around. Whenever I'm lonely, whenever I'm hurting, my grandfather's around. And I always can tell because I smell cigar smoke. So she was smelling what wasn't in the physical. Taste. There's people that are professional wine tasters, food tasters. It's very, very highly developed. And go back to the guy who ran Sony Corporation, the founder of Sony. His taste was so developed. Now, intuition. Einstein said that the most valuable thing that you'll ever have is your intuition. The only valuable thing is your intuition. Now, in order for me to do what I do, I've got to get quiet and empty and listen. How much time do we in the Western world spend being quiet and listening? Going into the void. We're busy, we're doers. We're action people. That's what we've been trained to do. Now, if you're always taking action, you're not thinking, usually. And you're definitely not feeling and listening to your inner voice because we're too busy moving. It's interesting that birds can fly thousands and thousands and thousands of miles and reach their destination. How do they do it? Or the ancient mariners, the ancient Maoris, and the other seafarers. They can look at the ocean and see 20, 30, 50 different waves. They can tell distant islands by looking at the ripples in the water. Most of that's been lost now, but that's what they used to be able to do. It can be used to enhance creativity, more accurate decision making. See, if we are multidimensional, we see beyond the present, see beyond the physical reality, and we can see the possibilities. We can see the opportunities. We can see the potential. We can sense it. See, we take in information many, many different ways, but most of us aren't aware of it. I was doing a meditation in Portland, Maine. And during the meditation, I said, you can see energy, you can hear energy, you can feel it. Well, at the end of the meditation, this woman who's a PhD psychologist came up to me and said, I can hear energy, I can hear energy, I can hear energy. And I said, huh? She said, I didn't know you could do it. And when I mentioned it, all of a sudden, her whole reality shifted. Okay? So sometimes just someone sharing something with you will open up a whole new reality for you. And that's what I hope happens for you tonight. So there's an external focus. There's an external focus and an internal focus. Now, what is energy? What is intuition? And how do you access higher levels of consciousness? First of all, everything, or energy is everything. It's everywhere. And it's information. Okay? Our thinking and thought patterns focus the available energy. We can focus it, or we can diffuse it just by our thought. And by the way, science has found, quantum physics has found, just us observing an experiment changes the experiment. Just by us observing it changes it, even if we have no intention and we keep an open mind. We create our own reality through our thoughts, and I put in parentheses, our fears. If you're operating out of fear, you're going to create things to validate the fear, because the fear is a living energy. If you believe in abundance wholeheartedly on all levels, that's all you'll create. You'll never create any negativity. Negative thoughts equal blocked energy, which creates self-sabotage. That's the way it happens. Now see, if there's low energy or contaminated energy, then you have partial manifestation. You do not create clearly. It's hit or miss, or you'll get only a fraction of what you're programming for. It's like static on a radio. It's like your internet breaking down or your mobile phone breaking down. The higher and clearer your energy, the faster and better the manifestation. If your energy is strong, a high level, and you're crystal clear, instantly you'll manifest it. There won't even be a time frame. Now here's the other point. In third dimensional reality, the energy is slow. If you're dealing on higher levels of consciousness, you're talking about energy that moves fast and things are created instantly. One of the reasons why humans are so frustrated is because it takes so bloody long to create something on the earth plane. In spirit, you just think something, boom, and it's there. Instantaneously. Whatever you want, you just imagine it, and it's there. The earth plane takes longer, and that's why a lot of us get so frustrated. So, dealing with energy, you've got the phone, TV, radio, radar. There's many different ways that we can use energy. Energy is information, the internet. And you can converge energy into a laser, or you can diverge it into something much larger. Okay? Now, in developing the ultimate entrepreneur, the best way to do it is to align the polarities. See, Earth is about polarities. Black, white, male, female, good, bad. Earth is about polarities. If you create unity, then your manifestation increases much faster. Your success. So, releasing earth plane blockages, programming, indoctrination, and beliefs and limitations, the more you release of your historic and energetic blockages, then you're clearer. A river does not flow well when there's a dam in it. And I do a lot of work helping people to remove those blockages. Let's talk about some polarity splits. You have your higher self and your inner child. If the two don't communicate and don't get along, how are you going to create anything? If you're always out there and you ignore yourself and you put yourself last, do you think your inner child is going to say, I'm going to help you create that? No, the inner child is going to throw a temper tantrum. You have to bring in all aspects of yourself. Okay, can you not click, please? Okay. The more you bring in these polarities, the more your opposites work together, the easier you're going to be able to create things. And the happier you're going to be. So you've got your head and your heart. Your head wants to do one thing, your heart wants to do another. Get them to communicate. Get them to work out some type of an agreement. Find out what your head wants, what is going on. Find out what your heart wants. Left brain, right brain, intellect, intuition. These are two polar opposites. I actually wrote a poem. And I said, intellect, thank you for what a great job you've been doing. You've been working overtime for so long. Now maybe, why don't you relax a little bit? Let the intuition come in. Let this other side help you, at least halfway. Why don't you both work together? You know, there's carts where they have two horses pulling them. You can't have one running in one direction, one running in the other direction. You need them pulling equally together. And then what happens? Magic. Share the load. Intellect, intuition. Speak to each other. Help each other. Masculine and feminine. I've been told that if I had any more feminine energy, I would have had to have been born a woman. Okay? You don't see it now because I'm using my male energy to speak to you. But when I start working with the individuals in front of the room, you're going to see a very different side of me. And when I'm using my intuition, when I'm embracing that sensitivity, what's happening is I'm opening, I'm being vulnerable, I'm being sensitive, I'm using that feminine energy. Okay, let me ask how many of you here can just breathe in energy? Can you just breathe in energy? No, you can't. And you don't breathe out? You have to breathe in and you have to breathe out. The tides go out and they go in. Everything is in balance. But what happens is we get stuck into a role model or into a role. A lot of women get stuck into mother, childbearer, take care of the house. A lot of men get stuck into breadwinner, fight the battles, be the warrior out there. But the truth is we are both. We are everything. Every woman has a masculine side. Every man has a feminine side. But when I went to school, you got laughed at if you were sensitive. You got laughed at if you brought that side out. You're taught to be tough. How many times do you see pictures of warriors out there with their guns picking up a child that's hurt and taking care of that child? They don't want that side out there because the person doesn't want to kill anymore. We all have the masculine and feminine within us. And the power is to be able to access whatever we want and whatever we need and whatever's in our highest and best interest at all times. When you have a toolbox, you don't always use a hammer. You need hammers, screwdrivers, and all different types of tools. We need all these different resources to do the best job we can. Creating the sacred troika, conscious, subconscious, and superconscious. The conscious mind is what's going on here. The subconscious is shifting because of the energy in the room. The superconscious, before I came here, I asked for help from upstairs, spirit, whatever you want to call it. And I may work with the energy later and open up the dimensional doorways more. But the energy is tangible. When you learn how to balance and call in and work with the conscious, the subconscious, the superconscious mind, it's amazing. Human and divine. See, it may look like you're human, you're not. Everyone in here could be from the Diva community, which is the plant community, space. There's a lot of different groups that are represented here on the earth plane. So if you're just focusing on, I'm third dimensional reality, I'm a human, it's like, come on. There is so much more to you if you allow yourself to connect with it. How many people here, when someone's hurting, buys them flowers? Raise your hand. Thank you. You're from the Diva community. How many people here love crystals Raise your hand, thank you. Inner earth connection. Elementals. How many people here look at the midnight sky and say, I want to go home? Raise your hand. Thank you. Star people. Extraterrestrial. Interdimensional. Inner earth. Elementals. Divas. These are all parts of us. And when we know that, we can access and align with that energy to help us. See, there are many spiritual dimensions, an infinite number, and there are many enlightened beings that are willing to help us if we just ask. Now, what's really interesting is low-level energies and entities, they'll come and play all the time. But the big boys, those on the higher levels of consciousness, they respect you enough not to interfere in your energy. So what happens is, if you want them to come help you, you need to give them an invitation. So I know that most of you have seen the cross. And this is about balance above, below, right and left. And the Jewish star, or the six-pointed star, which is as below, or as above, so below. That's all this means. Now, I'm going to show you another one. It's really something that I have on the next one. Can everybody see this? Or no? This part down here? You want me to hold it up? I'm going to hold it up. Okay? Now, here, this line represents soul. So let's say your soul wants the energy to move straight up, or it wants you to move in one direction. If your ego and personality are pulling downward, like the red arrow, are you going to go anywhere? No, you're not going to go anywhere. If your ego and personality are going this way, are you going to get much progress? No. It's not until your ego and personality starts aligning with the direction of your soul and what your soul wants to achieve that you actually start achieving what you're supposed to do. I'm going to take a risk now, if I may. On November 11th, 2011, it was as if someone totally pulled the rug out from underneath me. I had no will to live. I had no desire. I didn't care. I called everyone I knew that I trusted and I said, help. I didn't know if I had cancer. I didn't know if I was dying. I didn't know what was going on with me. And thank God I had enough people that were well connected and very aware and very intuitive who started giving me feedback on what I was going through. They said, Michael, you were totally cleared out to prepare you for the next step. And what's happened is, I came to New Zealand, and there's a gentleman named Jasmeel, he's a Sikh, and he put me on his couch, and he basically took care of me for over a month. Made meals for me, made sure I was okay. I didn't spend much time off that couch. My energy still is about 30% right now of what it can be and what I'm used to it being. But what was said to me was that I was traumatized as a child. My father tried to kill me from the minute he found out my mother was pregnant. Okay? So I ran my entire life on nervous energy and not really centered within myself. It was more of a fear energy. Okay? So what happened is Spirit aligned my energy to where it was more calm. But in order to do that, I was totally taken down to nothing. It was like I was stripped down. Okay? Now my energy is slowly coming back up again. My understanding, my sense is it's going to be maybe June or even later than that before I'm really into my full power again. The other thing that's very interesting is the healings are happening much quicker with less energy and effort. I don't need to push the energy anymore. I'm trusting more. I'm surrendering more. I'm listening more. The other thing that happened that was really strange for me is I was a meat eater. I loved my meat. I loved my steaks. I loved my chicken, my fish, seafood. I loved it. Jasmiel's a Sikh and a vegetarian. So what happened was, hanging around with him, I started eating less and less meat. And since January, I haven't had any meat, any chicken, or even any fish. So what I'm saying is, there are times when we go through changes where we have to either choose, we're going to fight it or surrender. For me, I had no choice. I had no energy to fight anything. It was impossible for me to resist because I didn't have any energy. And thank God when you have people that are willing to support you and that you don't have to perform to be accepted. I was in Germany, Netherlands, and England when I made some phone calls to find out where I was going to go because I didn't want to spend the winter up there. And I got phone calls from a number of people in New Zealand here who said, Michael, come home. It's time for you to come home. And that's why I'm here. We talked about the arrows and the directions. The more we align our ego and personality with our soul's purpose, the easier the manifestation process is. I want to talk to you about the pendulum. We've all seen a pendulum, right? But see, the pendulum needs to flow. If you talk to me, I can get angry and I could scream, I could get very emotional. I can also be very quiet. And there's a flow. I have the full range, or most of it. But some people have gaps where it's like this side doesn't exist. Or they can go to this extreme and this extreme, but they can't go to the middle. Or they can go to this side, but they can't go to this extreme. They cannot show rage. They won't allow themselves to go there. See, that, for me, we need, it's healthy to have the full range. As a mother, or even as a father with children that you need to protect, you need the power. You need that power of emotion, should something happen, to stand up to an aggression or to someone trying to hurt the children. I didn't say you have to live there, but it's healthy to be able to step in to that position of power. We need to have access to our full range of feelings, emotions, intuition, thinking, and consciousness. I'm going to go to the next one. The more we embrace and align all aspects of ourselves, have compassion and gratitude, the more we eliminate blockages and misperceptions, the more we manifest. How many people here are not compassionate with yourself? You may be with everybody else, but boy, if you make a mistake, how many people here beat themselves up? I know I do. That's what we're taught, perfectionism. Forget it. It's about learning. There are learning curves. That's why they used to have erasers on pencils, because they expected you to make a mistake. And are you aware that you learn more from your mistakes than your successes? But how many people are willing to get out there on a bicycle as an adult and look silly and fall off? And then they just laugh and get back on. When we get older, we have something called pride, is it? We want to look good. We want to be right. Forget it. So the biggest thing is to have compassion for ourselves. We've always done the best we could. And if we could have done any better, we would have. There's a lot of things I look back on my life and go, learned from that one, didn't I? Hopefully. We're always doing the best we can. I'll go home tonight and I'll think, oh, I could have said this and I could have said that. Maybe I could have worked with this person differently. But what I know is I'm always doing the best I can. And that's all you can do, is the best you can. And you learn from it. Do you know a rocket ship, an airplane, is off target 99.999999999% of the time? It is. Do you know the only reason why an airplane lands at the correct airport? Keeps making course corrections. If you watch the ailerons, they're constantly going like this. You watch the plane, it's constantly adjusting. That's what we have to do. We have to stay conscious. We have to incorporate all of our senses, all of our feelings. Stay conscious and make those course corrections. And sometimes I'll sit down with someone and I'll say, something's not feeling right. Are you okay? Are you upset about something? Did I say something? Did I not do something? What's going on? And that's when you find out how honest the other person is. Because when you feel a shift in the energy, something's happened. And by the way, would you like to know how sensitive I am? And promise not to laugh. Thank you, an honest woman. I did a some healing work one time on a Native American woman in a place called Yellow Thunder Camp in the Dakotas. And she was about 16-ish and was riding on the front of a bicycle and fell off and cut her leg open, her knee. And it was bleeding pretty bad. And I sat her down and I started doing some work. And I was kneeling. And I doubled up, grabbed my gut, and went down on the ground. And I said, what is going on with you? Because the pain was excruciating. She told me she was having her period. I said, got it. I can feel it. So I have had menstrual cramps. So believe me, I sympathize with you. There was another time when I was up, I don't remember whether Skagway, Alaska or something, on one of my trips. And I wasn't drinking, but I was sitting at a pub out in nature. Okay, it was beautiful. And I had my back to some people, and all of a sudden I started getting a hangover. Now I hadn't been drinking, but the person behind me was soused, pickled. And it was close enough to me where I actually picked it up. So I have to be very aware of who I'm around, what kind of environment I'm in, and the type of people I'm working with, because that's how sensitive I am. It's a double-edged sword. It allows me to help people to pick up information, to do many things. But I also have to be aware of being able to define, is this me? Is it them? Is it going on with the planet? What's going on here? Okay? Languaging. Keep your languaging positive. If you keep on using should and try, and I've got to do this, you crash your energy field. If you use a 4-letter word called work, you're shattering people's energy field. Never tell someone, I have some work for you to do, or will you do some work for me? You can say, I have a challenge, or I have an opportunity. That increases their energy. Can I borrow you for a second? Yeah. What's your name?
Leighton.
Leighton, hi. Nice big guy. Stand here, please.
Yep.
I want you to put your arm like that, eyes straight ahead, say, my name's Leighton.
Leighton.
I'm a man.
I'm a man.
Say the word work.
Work.
Shake. Arm out. My name's Leighton.
My name's Leighton.
Say challenge.
Challenge.
Doesn't budge. Never tell anyone you got work for them to do. Come on, you sit down. Thanks. Okay? So understanding languaging. Never tell people what you don't want. I don't want you to do this. Forget it. Tell them what you do want. So your languaging is very important. Your mindset. Focus on what is wanted, not what is not wanted. See, you get what you give attention to. If you keep saying, I don't want to have a car accident, I don't want to have a car accident, what's the image in your mind? If I say, don't think about a pink elephant, what do you think about? A pink elephant, of course. If I yell, don't smoke, what am I telling you to do? Smoke. Okay? So the whole point is, if you understand how the mind works, then you can use it to your advantage, and you can program yourself. The higher our energy and the clearer we are, the more we have access to and can embrace higher levels of consciousness. You've got the human self, which has limited potential. It's got low frequency and low vibration. The divine self, the higher self, has infinite potential. It has higher frequency and vibration. Where am I talking to you from? What I'm doing my best to do is move my energy to the highest levels possible where you can still understand me. How many people here in this room are aware that right now you're in an altered state? Raise your hand if you can feel it. Okay, thank you. Okay. My intention is to serve you. My intention is to help you to shift your level of awareness to a much higher frequency and vibration. When someone comes to me, all I see is God, Goddess. All I see is perfection. I don't care what they tell me their condition is, whether it's cancer, diabetes, whatever. All I see is perfection. Now, once I hold that focus, once I hold that vibration, what do you think they do? They respond to it. I know that you're magnificent. Why would I focus on your limitation? I want to show you something here. I'm going to hold it up a little bit so you can see it better. See, if our energy is all scrambled, this is what it's like for the energy to go through it. It's very challenging. Where when your energy is aligned, your conscious, subconscious, superconscious, your intention, your masculine, feminine energy, bam, boom, instantaneously, like a hot knife through butter. It creates it instantly. I want to tell you some of my personal experiences, if I may, just to give you an idea of the possibilities. By the way, we've got this and one more thing, and then I'm going to start working with people. So please bear with me. I was here in New Zealand, and a very well-dressed woman came to see me for a private session. This woman, as we were talking about herself, and she'd never mentioned her husband, I said to her, "What's going on with your husband?" "Oh," she says, "nothing." I said, "What is he doing?" "Well, he's in construction." I said, "Tell me more." "He's got 2 partners and they get along really great." And I said, "I don't like what I'm picking up. Will you tell him to cover his ass?" And she said, "Oh, you don't know what you're talking about. They're his best friends since high school." And I said, "I don't care if they're his childhood friends. Tell him to watch himself, that they're planning on pushing him out of the company." She laughed at me. She said, "You don't have a clue what you're talking about." Until 2 weeks later, she called me up and she said, "It happened exactly the way you saw it. The 2 other partners ganged up on him, pushed him out of the company, and he lost everything." She never mentioned her husband to me. I picked it up. Because the powers to be upstairs wanted her to have a warning. And him. They didn't pay attention to it. How many times do we not pay attention to the information we get? There was a gentleman who called me up, and he had a big company, and he had some challenges with the energy. And he invited me to come down. And this property had 2 stories to it. It was quite a big building with a lot of offices. And I went through, and I walked around, and I said, and this is on the 2nd floor, and I said, what's in that file cabinet in the back? And he said, that's all the clients that didn't work out. That's all the ones that left me. And I said, that's a black hole where all your energy is leaking. I said, get it out of there. I don't care if you burn it, throw it in a garbage can, get rid of it, put it in a storage unit. I don't care, but get it out of your workspace, because that was draining the energy from his office. And his office was a lot bigger. The building was a lot bigger than this room. Okay? Now, then I walked with him down on the 1st floor, and he had a conference room. And I walked around and said, what happened on this exact spot? He looked at me and said, how did you find that? He said, that's where my ex-partner and I had a big fight and we decided to split. I said, the energy's still stuck here. And we worked to remove that. Whenever anything happens, a trauma, a shock, an emotional outburst, the energy can get stuck and has to be removed. There was someone that I used to work with. Well, there's a couple of property investors I'm going to talk to you about. But one of the property investors used to call me on the phone and say, Michael, I'm looking at buy this rental house. It's on this street. What do you think? That's all they tell me. And I'd say yes or no. I said either there's structural problems or buy it or don't buy it. That's all they would do is say, Michael, I'm thinking of buying this property at this address. I don't need any information. Except something very strange happened. Because when this person called me up, I said, I don't know what I'm picking up, but you got 6 months to get out of the real estate business totally. You got 6 months to get all your properties together and get out. She laughed at me and laughed until the property market crashed. And then she said, if I had listened to you, I would have got out at the exact top of the market. If she had gotten out, she would have got out at the exact top of the market. There's a gentleman who called me up, and he said, Michael, this is on the phone, Michael, there's this property and it's fantastic. I said, don't touch it. That's the whole conversation. Michael, it's so cheap. I said, don't touch it. Michael, but it's so cheap. I said, okay, tell me the story. Well, people had been murdered there, and there was voodoo, and I'm sitting there going, I'm not even strong enough to clear this energy. I said, you're insane. I said, don't touch it. See, there's properties where the energy has been messed with, where the pipes won't work, the water won't work, the electricity won't work. Get out of those things. Don't touch them. Don't go anywhere near them. There's some that I know I can clear, and I can tell that by just asking or not. There's a gentleman who called me up, and he hired me for 6 days. This gentleman had 36 corporations, and he was hiring CEOs to run his organizations, and he had a very bad track record. And I went to see him, and I never saw the people, I never saw a photograph, never knew their full names. He would just give me their first names. And we'd sit down and we'd have intelligent conversations about them. And his attitude was, well, we got to do more interviewing and we've got to do more testing. And I said, you're out of your mind. I said, forget it. Just call me up. I'll tell you on the phone whether they're going to work or not. In 2 seconds. He started talking to me about one of the companies, and I said, you've already passed over a guy that's going to be loyal to you for the rest of his life. He said, I don't care about that. And I went, okay, that's your choice. I said, I wouldn't do that, but that's your choice. And then he told me about this other guy that he really liked. And I said, he's only going to stay with you 2 years. He said, well, it's okay if he does that good of a job. And then I explained to him, I worked out a scenario by watching the energy, how he could tell the guy, well, look, we got this other emergency in this other company. Will you take over that one? And then he'd stay 2 years there. And then I said, then do it a third time. He said, you could probably get 6 years out of the guy in that way. But I didn't have any information. Another story about the same company, I was sitting down with the vice president of this organization, and his daughter called. And he said, well, I'm in a meeting right now, I can't. I said, go ahead, it's fine. And he's talking to his daughter, and then later on he's talking to me, he says, I'm really afraid, my daughter wants to go to this school, but I'm afraid she's going to do this, and then she's got this boyfriend, and da-da-da-da. And I sat down, I told him exactly what was going to happen, which school she was going to go to, everything would be okay, the boyfriend was going to get ditched, don't worry about it, it's a short-term situation, there's going to be problems. And he just looked at me. And then when I went back to see the company 3 months later, he took me out through the whole company and said, this is the guy that told me everything that was going to go on with my daughter, and he was 100% right. Anyway, these are different things that happen. I wasn't brought into the company to help him with his daughter. And sometimes I get no information because it's none of my business or anyone else's. But there's other times when I get very specific information. And where do I get the information from? It's from you. It's from your higher self. It's from your guides, your teachers. My goal, my commitment is to serve you. It's to help you to reach the level of enlightenment, the level of awareness that you want. I want to tell you about a board meeting I went to. This is another story, another company. And this was a friend of mine, and he invited me to a board meeting. He had a security company. And I was sitting in the room, and I hadn't met anyone else, and hello, walking around, meeting everybody. And then what happened was, as we're sitting there, about 10 minutes, 15 minutes into the meeting, I said, someone's missing. There's someone that should be here that isn't. Oh, Michael, you don't know what you're talking about. We just hired this woman, and she's this top marketing woman, and she's a crackerjack, and da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. I sat there, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, I go, and I said, why are you hiring her? She's only going to be here 90 days. She's not going to work out. Why are you hiring her? And they laughed at me, and they laughed at me. Till 29 days later, they called me up and said, Michael, we should have listened to you. Michael, if we had kept her one more day, it would have cost us a fortune to get rid of her. She didn't work out at all. I said, yeah, could have told you that. By the way, the same company used to have a lot of fun with me. They'd take a piece of paper and say, Michael, we're going to hire this person. And as they're walking to me, I'd say, don't hire them or hire them. Okay? As they're walking to me with the piece of paper. I don't even know what's on the piece of paper. Okay? So one time what they did is they brought me this piece of paper. And I said, forget it, don't hire them. And they said, but Michael, this person's great. I said, even if you hire them, it's not going to work out. And they said, yeah, we knew that already. We were just testing you to see if you'd pick it up or not. I said, you buggers. Anyway, that's another one. Price of gold. I've worked with some people, traders, option traders, stock market traders, gold traders, picking out where the points were, where the resistance points, how far it would go. So if there's any traders in the room, that's something that I've been able to do to help people with. Okay? I also predicted the stock market crash. What I couldn't predict, though, was the government jumping in and manipulating. And there's been a lot of manipulation, and right now there's a lot of manipulation going on. I don't have a clue how the market's staying up the way it is. But anyway, that's another story. There's a gentleman, remember I told you Jasmine took care of me? Well, Jasmine, when I first met him, he told me he had a business partner. I just met the guy, and I said, no, you don't. You got a con artist. It just, boom, came out of my mouth. See, a lot of this doesn't go through my brain, and that gets me in trouble. It just comes out my mouth, and it's like, okay, guys, help. Okay, the other thing that happened, Jasmine had diabetes, and one day we started working, and the diabetes went away in one session. It hasn't come back. The other thing, when I met Jasmine, he didn't have a job. His wife didn't have a job. They were in bad straits, and they had no prospects. He came to my workshop. A week later, he had a good job. He's still at the job now, 6 years later. Okay? So those are just a few of the things that I can tell you about. See, for me, it's like having a camera. And you know how the old 35 millimeter cameras were out of focus and you had to work with them to get them into sharp focus? Now everything's automatic. But that's what I do, is I bring the confusion, all the information into focus so we can see what's really going on. You've seen a car with head at night where there's no moon and there's total darkness and you can't see where you're going. Well, if you put your low beams on, you can see a certain distance. If you put your high beams on, you can see a lot further. Actually, I took it one step further when I went up to Alaska. I was up there in the wintertime driving back, and I actually put an aircraft landing light on top of my car. I could see a lot further. Okay? And I can help you by seeing into the future, by seeing into what's hidden, to seeing into what's in your competitor's mind, where the market's going to go, where your opportunities are, where there's an opening for you, whether the partnerships you're going into are going to work or not, whether they're relationship partnerships or business partnerships. I can tell you where the weak links are. And I can also sit down and do the mediation because I can see what the real issues are. I have yet to see a couple that is arguing about what they're arguing about. Ever. The other way I describe it is like being in a helicopter. From a ground level, you can only see so much. From a ground level, you can't see the forest from the trees. You go up in a helicopter, you go up in a hot air balloon, you look down, it's obvious what the terrain is. It's obvious where the openings are. It's obvious what the opportunities are. And this is basically what I do. Okay, let's go ahead, and I just want to share a couple of things, and I'm going to start working with people. One of the things I have is a CD and a DVD. It's a healing meditation CD. It's 48 minutes. It's a long meditation. The challenge is you're not supposed to hear it. Within the first 5, 10, 15 minutes, it'll put you to sleep. That's what it's supposed to do. And it'll work on your unconscious, subconscious mind. I do not believe in subliminals because I believe you need to have the integrity of knowing what is on the CD. What I will tell you is that there's been many, many stories about people that have put on the CD and had a lot of very, very positive things happen. One person had a diabetic attack. They called me up. They said, Michael, this person's in intensive care. They can't stabilize them. They're losing them. What can we do? I said, get my meditation CD on. And within 20 minutes, they stabilized. Okay? Nothing else was able to help that person who was having a diabetic attack stabilize. Another woman I know had a car accident where her neck was injured. For 20 years, she had gone to chiropractors and a lot of other different people, and no one could help her. She put on the meditation CD, click, her neck went into place, and that was it. It's been fine ever since. I don't know if you know the term etheric hand, but it's like an energy hand. And another person reported that this energy hand actually went in to her chest and started healing her heart and her lungs. So this meditation is very, very powerful, and it helps you to relax.
Just a question. Would that work equally well for like an infant or someone who doesn't?
Absolutely, absolutely, because it's energetic and intention. So it works with animals, works with children, works with people in comas, doesn't matter.
And when you say healing, could be healing of any description? It's not specific.
It's about clearing the energy and increasing the frequency. So it works with anything and everything. Okay? It creates in alignment with your highest expression, the highest intention. Okay? The other thing that goes along with that we're giving away special tonight, is a DVD of a talk I did to the Tony Robbins Yes Group in England. Okay? It's very different than this talk. Both of them for $25. Okay? It's a set. It's up there. So we'll be giving them later on. I've got 2 workshops coming up. One, personal breakthrough, where I'm actually working with people, or working with you, to help you to clear whatever blockages or misalignments you have. And you tell me what it is you want to clear, and then I'll tune into your energy and start working with you. I only take 20 people in those workshops because I want to give you highly personalized attention. This is not 5,000 people in a room. It's 20 people. I work with everyone constantly over and over again in the room. I'm doing another one on intuition training a week after that, but we can talk about that later. I also do coaching and consulting with organizations and individuals. So, who has a business situation or business questions that you would like help with? This gentleman over here. Should come on up. Okay, your name, please?
It's Keith.
Keith, okay. This I'm adamant about. No talking in the audience, okay? I'd like your attention up here. No side talking to anyone else. Please, no clicking of pens. And please do not cross your arms across your chest, okay? Because that keeps the energy open. Okay. Did you say Keith?
Yes.
Okay, Keith, what can I help you with?
I'm a bit stuck as to which direction I should go in my life. There's a business interest. I've been playing with it for years. Should I forget it or get on with it seriously? Or carry on in the rut that I am and go nowhere? Or develop, or it's called a coffin. Or, it's the rut, and eventually they put the dirt on the top and they bury you.
Woo! What metaphors! Do you want that business? Not me!
Or should I develop my spirituality and use that as an income? Well,
He's got 75,000 questions in that one.
Yeah.
Keith, why don't you stand there for a second? Okay, let me show you something. This is a dowsing rod, okay? It is spring-loaded this way. It is spring-loaded this way, and basically it floats. And what I'm going to do, I use this as a teaching tool. I do not need this. I use it as a teaching tool. When an energy is good, the energy goes out. When the energy is bad or negative or imploding, it's like a black hole absorbing the energy. Let's check Keith. First question I ask myself, am I clear enough to do this? Yes. Where's Keith's energy? Kaput. He looks like he's got energy. He doesn't. How many major blockages does he have? 1. Is it from this lifetime? No. Past lifetime? Yes. By the way, if you don't believe in past lifetimes, you will next time. It's okay. Okay. Past lifetime was as a male. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lifetimes ago. What was he doing? Whatever it was, he judged himself that he wasn't enough. Breathe. Now, watch Keith, not me. Watch the person I'm working with and watch their face and watch their energy. Whoa, look at this. That's all I said to him. Look at this, and his energy is shifting. See, here's the interesting part. It only takes a feather. It doesn't need dynamite or nitroglycerin. It doesn't need 20 years of therapy. By the way, do you have a minute?
yes.
Good. I'd like to tell a quick story. I was invited to a very top, world-renowned personal development group because they were interested in working with me. And I went in and they told me, they said, you cannot do any healing on anyone. You cannot work on anyone. You just come and talk. Okay, so I started talking. About 5 minutes into it, 10 minutes into it, I said, I can't do this anymore. I said, the only way I work is through demonstration. The only way I work is to give you something tangible that you can hold on to, that you can understand. Because words don't mean anything, because anyone can say words. I want to show you. And the room got silent, and the management was silent. And all of a sudden, the head trainer, who was in his late 30s, a guy, stood up and he says, I don't know what you got, but I want it. And I'm watching the top management expecting to get thrown out, and nothing happened. It was still quiet. And I said, come on, up to the front of the room. Okay? He came up to the front of the room. I went in the back because I didn't want to influence him at all. And I said, how can I serve you? He said, Michael, I've been in counseling and therapy for 13 years. This is the head trainer of the personal development group. He's been going to a counselor for 13 years, working on his mother issues. He said, Michael, I can't crack it. What is it? And I said, it's simple. The issue's not your mother. I said, did your father ever tell you he loved you and he respected you? Burst into hysterical tears, and he grew like 6 inches. He stood taller. See, it's not how much information you give someone. It's pinpoint laser accuracy. It is pinpoint laser accuracy. Now, you didn't hear me say, Michael's fantastic and Michael can do all these things. Because I'll tell you something, if I didn't have the help of the people upstairs, the guides, the teachers, the beings that work with me, I wouldn't have much to say. So what I'm saying to you is the reason why they chose me is because I have a big mouth. The reason why they chose me is because I am fearless when I have work to do and to help people. I am part of a team. I am on the earth plane. They are not on the earth plane. They are in spirit. They are in other energy dimensions. But they care about and they love planet Earth and the people. And there are many councils and tribunals of light that care about planet Earth and are doing everything they can to help planet Earth to move peacefully to a higher level of understanding and connection. So, Keith, I keep hearing you say you play at things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which thing are those things that you're talking about?
Which things are you talking about?
Well, it's that business interest, yeah. But it's been...
Keith. By the way, I do muscle testing, which is what I've been doing, but I do it very differently than other people do, and I get very different information because I'm working on a high frequency and from other levels of consciousness, okay? So Keith, come here. Yeah. Arm out. Make your arm strong, eyes straight ahead. Yeah. Say, my name's Keith.
My name is Keith.
You know, I want you just to think about this business that you say you're in or you want to do.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of commitment and fire and energy going on there, doesn't he? Keith, what do you want to do?
Not have to go to work every day.
Fantastic. Keith, what do you want to do? See, he tells me what he doesn't want. Listen, he's telling me what he doesn't want. Listen, he's telling me what he doesn't want. The universe doesn't give a hoot. What do you want? What do you desire? What's your passion? What makes you excited?
I want a family. I want to be able to spend time with my old engines. I want to be able to live a life not committed to having to go out and get money all the time.
Yeah?
Yeah. That sums it up.
Yeah? And what's your passion? Tell me one thing in this life that really turns you on. that you can talk about in this room?
Finding out who I am.
I get a yes on that one. Fantastic.
That's what main thing I want to do. Find out who I am.
There is no more noble cause than to discover who you are. Breathe. Who do you need permission from in order to do it?
Me.
Thank you. When are you going to give yourself permission?
Yeah, good question.
When would now be a good time to do it?
Or now? Yeah, of course. Yeah, otherwise, now is the only time you've got, otherwise it never arrives.
That's right. Okay? See, you've been doing what everybody else wants you to do and what everybody else is doing. Forget it.
Yeah, they'll manage without me.
They'll thrive without you, usually.
Well, they managed before me, so they have to do it again.
Okay. Keith, I'm playing with you, but I'm not playing with you.
Yeah.
I'm really serious.
Yeah, I understand.
The only time your energy responded was when you said, I want to find out who I am.
Yeah.
Do you know I don't know who I am?
No, it's a bit surprising, but okay. Yeah.
Hey, I don't have a clue. Every day I discover other things.
Yeah.
And some days I'm happy, and some days I'm sad, and some days I'm up, and sometimes I'm down. Sometimes I feel like talking to people, other times I don't want to have anything to do with humans.
That sounds like me.
So what can you do to honor you?
Get rid of that self-doubt, get the rubbish out of my mind. Give myself...
Excuse me, I know some great CDs, and I know some great workshops that you can go to that'll help you.
I've already listened to a couple of those.
Good.
Yeah, they're good stuff, yeah.
Thank you.
Did 7 hours sleep on the...
I didn't hear you. What'd you say?
I did 7 hours solid sleep on the healing room tape last night, or just last night.
Good. Thank you.
Yeah, it was
And I didn't pay him to make the sales pitch either. Keith, can you see his energy shift? Can you see him become lighter? See, we're taught to work. We're taught to do obligations. We're taught all these things, but we're not taught that we as individuals are worth it and that we have a right to be happy. And I'm going to extend that. We have a responsibility to be true to ourselves. I don't consider myself a religious person. Spiritual, yes. Religious, no. But I heard something that I really love. Life is God's gift to you. What you do with it is your gift to God. Keith, I'm going to let you sit down.
All right. Thank you, Mike.
And thank you. You could give him a round of applause. I mean, who else would like me to do a piece of work with them? There's a young lady over here. Come on. What's going on with the energy over here? You guys are monopolizing it. Hi.
Hi,
I'm
Millie.
Hi, Millie. Come here, a little bit closer. I won't bite, I promise. What you want?
I want my business to turn around and
Breathe. What do you really want? Breathe. Is this young man your partner?
yes,
You haven't been telling him the truth.
I have not. I have not.
How much do you love him? Breathe. Breathe. How much you love him? How much time do you guys spend together, quality time?
Not much.
And that's what you want more than anything else in the world.
Yes.
And your business, you could care less about. You care about your relationship 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times more than you do about that bloody business. How much permission do I have with you to talk to you?
Everything.
Everything?
Yeah.
How old are you?
52.
How old are you? Okay. Your time together is golden and precious. This woman loves you. She cares about you more than her business. She wants quality time with you. Her heart is aching. Yeah? Why don't you tell him? It's okay. See, if you get that bond and you spend quality time, you travel together, you do some things together, then it's like, okay, now I got enough energy, I'll go back and do the business. But you look at the business like something that's robbing you of your quality time with your partner. So you resent the business. Breathe. Thank you. Get honest with yourself. Sit down with your partner, if you want to, and create some quality time. I'm going to say something, and I'm not insinuating anything with you and Millie, okay? I've buried people I've loved. And I didn't get a chance to go back and spend more time with them. I didn't get a chance to change things. The only thing you have is this moment. This woman loves you. Okay? You got something that's rare. Two people that care about each other. In this day and age, man, you got something special. Treat it like a rose garden. Nurture it. Look at what you can do to make it better, to build the bond, to build the communication. And then your business will flourish. But right now, there's resentment. That business takes you away from each other. And this woman's hurting. Breathe. By the way, from her hands, I know she's got warm hands. I know she's got a warm heart. She's also very, very, very sensitive. She looks like a tough cookie. She's a softie. Look at her blush. Thank you very much.
You.
Can you give her a round of applause? I'm going to do a couple more. Who else? Not on this side of the room. I lied. Come on up. I didn't lie. I just got pulled by your energy. Hi.
Hi, my name's Brooke.
Brooke?
Brooke, yes.
Hi, Brooke. What do you want?
My business question is, I'm working with a friend of mine, like a family friend. I've known him for many, many years. And we've just started a new business together, but it was his baby originally, so we're not kind of true partners. And so at some stage I can see I'm going to have to either sort of buy into this partnership.
Why did you choose to go into partnership with him? What does he have that you want? Or what was the goal or dream that you had?
He was doing elements of what I wanted to do, but he had an existing database because I moved countries.
Oh, so you sold your soul for a database.
I wouldn't quite put it like that, but
I would. I would.
compared to what I was doing, I've moved a step in the right direction, but
Have
it's
you?
not what I want to do.
Have you?
Not totally.
Brooke, I love this kind of dialogue.
There's elements of what I want to do.
20% of what he's doing is what you want to do, and you sold out for a database. You lied to yourself to get a database. Breathe. Can you feel it?
Yeah.
Come here, please. Face the room. I want you just to watch him, okay? Now, Brooke, are you a bad person?
No.
Thank you. Do you have a lot of confidence in yourself?
No.
Thank you. When did you lose it? What did your dad do to you or say to you that broke your spirit? Age 8. What happened? Breathe.
I'm trying to remember. I can't think of anything specifically.
That's fine. I just want you to breathe. I want you to watch. His energy's shifting. He's almost all clear already. Brooke. Here's the image I'm getting. You go down the road, you see this beautiful car, and you go, I want it. I don't care if it's got 4 flat tires. I don't care if the engine's blown. I don't care if the transmission doesn't work. I love that car. Do you understand the word Kokosnuss?
No.
It's a German word for coconut. You got a great heart. I think you're a very sensitive person. You need more vitamin C. You don't get it. Vitamin C, courage and confidence in himself.
That makes sense.
I hope your partner's not in this room.
No.
Okay, good. You got a 20% compatibility with your partner.
I know.
Thank you for knowing. How are you going to deal with that?
Don't know.
You going to invest your time and energy for 2 years, then walk away and be hurt? Brooke, find some people that are on the same page as you are. Find some people with the same passion. Find some people where your values are aligned. What kind of business are you in?
I'm a physiotherapist.
Are you now?
Yeah,
And I'm hearing a good one.
I think so.
No, I don't think. You either are or you're not.
I am.
Good. So why don't you get out there and start demonstrating what you can do?
That's what I want to do.
It's what you want to do, or that's what you're doing?
It's what I'm doing on a individual level, but what I want to create is more than that.
So what do you want to create?
My own sort of holistic type therapy business. It's not kind of easily defined, but it's helping people.
Okay, Brooke, let me tell you what I'm getting, okay? May I? I'm getting you want to be part of a team. You don't want to be a lone ranger. I want to be part of a team too, but I haven't found my team yet. So I'm doing what I'm doing. I'm going out and talking to people and doing my best to help people. I'm looking for a team. In business, healing center, lots of dreams, okay? What kind of car you got?
It's a little Mazda, it's a hatchback.
Oh, okay. Does the engine work?
Yes?
What would you do if the engine didn't work? Would you still drive it?
No.
If the transmission didn't work, would you still drive it?
No.
If you had 4 flat tires, would you still drive it?
No.
Then what the hell are you with a business partner that's the same way?
I was too scared to do my own thing.
I beg your pardon?
I was too scared to do my own thing.
I beg your pardon, what'd you say?
I was too scared, and now I'm not.
Brooke, let me say this to you. I have lied to myself over and over and over and over and over, convincing myself they would work with business partners where it wouldn't work. Breathe. You got some crying to do, and you got to talk to little Brooke, that little guy inside of you. Hold his hand and tell him he's worth more. And you would be excellent to come on the workshop, or if you wanted coaching or something like that. Okay?
Yeah.
You're a good guy.
Thank you.
Okay. How does he mirror you? Where in you have you not been willing to really step up to your potential, to what you're capable of? Or let someone else lead because you thought they could lead better or because you were too shy. The only way you're going to learn is by getting out there. There's a story. Do you know who struck out in American baseball more than any other batter? His name was Babe Ruth. He's not known for how many times he struck out. He's known for how many home runs he hit. If you don't stretch your abilities, they're not going to grow. And you got a lot of growing. And you do good work. Breathe.
Thanks.
Hey, take good care of this.
Yeah.
Now, he's a very sensitive guy. Okay? A lot of us men have been beaten down as a child and are afraid to step into our power. A lot of women have been hurt and are afraid to step into their power and to speak their truth. And by the way, we've all been male and we've all been female. Do you want me to do one more? Yep. Do I see any hands? I got to do this side. I'm watching your energy on who really, really, really wants it and who's really, really, really ready. And you might be ready in the next instant, but right now you're ready. So come on up.
Me?
Yeah, you.
Okay.
Hi.
Hi.
And your name?
Catherine.
Hi, Catherine. What you want?
I'd like to know what I'm doing.
And by that you mean?
Well, I work for somebody. I really enjoy doing that.
No, you don't. You're
Pays the bills.
Yes, you're interested in paying the bills,
Yeah.
but that doesn't mean you like what you do. That doesn't mean you have any passion for it.
Well, it's better than the other jobs I've had.
Ooh, meow! It's better than cleaning toilets and scrubbing floors. You're absolutely correct. But there's no passion in you. Breathe. Who broke your heart? Breathe.
Lots of people.
Yep. Stop laughing. Okay? Please, when I'm working with someone, hold your center. See, if you laugh, she might get caught in a shame bind. Okay? So please just hold your center. Let me work with her. Yeah, we're playing, and I'm making jokes to lighten the energy a little bit. But what's going on here is I'm working on a soul level with her. Because I don't think many people can get through to her. Breathe. What's your first name?
Catherine.
Catherine. Okay. Catherine. What happened to you when you were about 7 years old? Breathe.
I don't know about 7, but it was before that.
What happened at age 7? You tell me what happened and I'll tell you if that's it. That's not it. See, I can see, she's tracking it, her eyes are going around. I can see that her energy's collapsing. It's not the issue. Stay with 7 years old, roughly 7.
I'm trying to think back what it might be. Nothing comes to mind.
It's a male. It's with a male.
Am I my father?
No, I don't get it's your father. Possibly a teacher.
I had all female teachers.
Not this one. Breathe.
I can't pull it up.
What happened to your confidence?
Was it the next door neighbour? Yeah?
Breathe.
Was it?
Breathe.
because I take everything on board, everything.
Breathe. It's okay. Feel the tears?
Yeah.
Good. Just stay with that, okay? I'm not going to go into any details. It's not important. The details are not important. This is the great fallacy. What happened is not important. What happened is of no consequences. The trauma, whatever happened, is of no consequences. The only thing that is a consequence is what decision did you make about yourself and about life and living. If you made a decision, you can't trust men, you can't trust women, I'm not good enough, I'm not safe as a woman, my body isn't mine, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, then you've shifted the whole direction of your life. And that's what I'm working with people on. Is what is the decision that you made that threw your life out of balance? Breathe. How often do you go for what you really want?
I always thought I didn't know what I wanted.
You didn't know what you wanted because you didn't get it, and you were hurt as a child, and you gave up. And all you want to do is be safe. Breathe.
It's pretty normal.
I beg your pardon?
It's pretty normal to want to feel safe.
You're absolutely correct. But what does it cost you because you did not find someone to help you to go back and to clear that energy? So you've spent your whole life doing your best to be safe, taking dry, stale, moldy crumbs when you could have had the universe. Breathe. Breathe. Well done.
I feel wet.
She is working her tail off. Can I ask how old you are?
58.
58. Okay. 51 years she has been dealing with this. 51 years. Settling for crumbs. Moldy crumbs. Now, her energy has shifted and she's clear right now. I'm not going to go any further because this is personal and I don't want to go there with her right now in front of the group. Okay? If we were in a workshop where it was sacred ground and we had a total commitment that we were all going to help each other, I would go into all the details. Not that the details are important, but just to let her finish the crying it out process. Okay? Now, you have a head on your shoulders. And right now, you're using it about 20%. Your passion is about 20%. And there's a lot more to you. Breathe. You can sit down.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I need to finish something I started earlier today. Hi.
Hi.
And someone I know was complaining about her cold hands and cold feet.
Yeah.
And I said, I know how to fix that one. And what I know is when someone has cold hands and cold feet, that they've shut their heart. Because what happens is when you've had a trauma, the blood goes to your torso, not to your extremities. So anyone who has traditionally cold hands or cold feet have a challenge with their circulation because they've closed down, because they've been hurt. And the only reason why you close down is because you're sensitive, right? Makes sense. Breathe. So, what happened to you 10 years ago? Breathe. The blockage is behind her heart chakra. She's only got one major one. And she smiles a lot. Go on. So what happened 10 years ago?
Well, 10 years ago, I fell in love about 10 years ago.
Yeah, and?
Yeah.
And what happened?
Wasn't the right one.
It wasn't the right one to begin with.
No, I know.
It was a karmic relationship. So what did you do to yourself and what decision did you make?
Recently, or
10 years ago, what did you make a decision that you closed your heart down?
well, I fell in love with him, and I thought he was Mr. Wonderful, and
Breathe. Her energy's starting to shift. Look at this. It's not clear yet. Go on.
and well, he wasn't, and I knew that he wasn't for a long time.
And? Breathe.
But I held on.
Hey, sounds like you're pretty human to me. I know lots of people they hold on. Way past the sell-by date. Breathe. So, can I ask you a question? Did you judge yourself?
Yeah.
Why?
I was weak.
You were what?
Weak.
Weak, why? Because you followed love? Or you followed the energy? Why were you weak? I'm curious.
Because I should have.
Should. Ooh, she shoulds on herself. Woo! Listen to that one. How many times do you should on yourself? Come on, keep going.
I wish that I had followed what my heart was telling me, and that it wasn't right for me.
But you just told me it was right for you.
On one level, I wanted him to be right for me.
You wanted him to be right for you. Can I
believed in the good in him.
Ooh, how many people here have believed in the good in a person or a business partner or even in a business and followed it all the way down into the ground? I have. I was in the oil business with two partners. Man, I found out what they were made of when we hit the bumps on the road. And I've been involved in the oil business and the book publishing business and a lot of other businesses where the market turned. And we lost everything. Had the greatest intentions. I was in the oil business. I was going to use the money to build healing centers all over the world. We were in the book publishing, book distribution company helping spiritual publishers or book writers, authors. It happens. So I'm just curious, do you really like shooting on yourself?
No.
Did you do the best you could?
Yeah, I did.
Did you learn anything?
Yeah.
What'd you learn?
That I need to follow this more, follow my intuition more, and listen to all of the hints.
I hear that one. Can I tell you a little story?
Sure.
There's an old Jewish saying that says when three people tell you're dead, lay down. Okay? Now, I added a piece to that. And I said when the whole universe tells you you're dead and you know you're not, then you stand tall. Okay? Now, I work with lots of other people that I trust, and they give me feedback. I take the responsibility for looking at that information, deciding what is appropriate for me and what isn't appropriate for me. Do you understand? It is not their responsibility, it is my responsibility. I have gotten into lots of relationships where I thought, man, this is the one. Wow, it sure was the one to teach me a heck of a lesson. And they were past life soulmates. And man, there are times I just cried and cried and cried and cried. Where 1 minute the energy was so strong, it was tangible. Everybody in the room could feel it. And the next minute, there wasn't any energy. And it's like, what happened? What just happened? And sometimes we have to complete contracts from other lifetimes or meet people and do one more dance. I didn't say it was easy. I've made the same mistake you have. So I've got a choice. Do I shut down and never open my heart again?
No.
No. Are you worth more?
Sure.
Are you in a relationship now?
Not really.
Your heart's open again. Okay? It's up to you. Do you know the definition of a winner? A winner is a person who gets up one more time than they get knocked down. A winner isn't someone that knows everything all the time and is always right. A winner just has the courage to get up one more time than they're knocked down. How do you feel?
Good.
Are you ready to let go of all the tears?
Yeah, I need to let it go. God damn.
God bless.
God bless.
And do you know something? Do you still know this person?
Yeah. Yeah.
Send him a bunch of flowers and say thank you for the experience. Thank you for the learning lesson. Breathe.
Yeah.
Look at the tears still there. See, the minute you said, talk to me about him, the energy went down. How many people could feel that? The energy actually went down when she said she found this person, she was in love, and da, da, da. We get attracted to situations to bring us into our lessons so we learn.
Yeah.
Remember I talked about the unconscious mind attracting? Read my last 2 posts on Facebook about what's happened to me.
Okay.
Okay? Now, is there anything else you want tonight?
No, I'm good.
Her energy just crashed. Well done. Can you give her a round of applause? Do you know, it's taken me 35 years this lifetime and 50,000 years on the earth plane to make it look this easy. I've worked with over 20,000 people in 50 countries. All races, all nationalities, all belief systems. A lot of them couldn't even speak English. Doesn't matter. In reality, I don't have to ask anyone a question. I can just help them by looking at their energy and giving them feedback. The only reason that I can work on this level is because I'm not working on third dimensional reality. I'm working on a lot higher frequency and vibration, and I'm getting a lot of guidance from my intuition and the guides and teachers that are working with me, and I want to honor them and give them the credit for everything that's happening. I think it's time pretty much to wrap up tonight. I want to share a couple more things. I can do private sessions, but I'd rather not, and I'll tell you why. Because in a situation of a 2-day workshop, I can watch your energy for 2 days. It's not just spending an hour with you, it's 2 days watching and monitoring your energy. You learn from everybody else, just like we've learned from everybody that came up here. I'm doing a workshop in a couple of weeks. If you can possibly come to the workshop, it'll really help you. If you know other people you really care about, please tell them. There's so many people out there that said they can jump over tall buildings and they make up all kinds of stories and do all kinds of advertising. I don't believe in that. If you've seen value here and you've seen a difference in people's lives and you tell other people, that's where the power is. So I'm going to ask you, please, if you know of anybody else that you really care about, that wants help or needs help, please pass the word on.